Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Liverpool have drawn away from home against Luton Town. You've heard that correctly. Um, Liverpool got a point after Luis Diaz's late equaliser in what was a pretty dismal Liverpool performance. And we are going to get into it, but obviously, before I do, you guys already know if you've been watching this podcast, we are proudly sponsored by yourfootcard.com. Make sure you go check out the website, check out all their products. It's Christmas, so get your Christmas orders in. And if you use code TATPOD at checkout, you will receive a cheeky 15% off your order. So make sure you show the guys some love. But yeah, we've got the regulars back. Elliot, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I mean, I would say good, but I'm cold. I'm annoyed at the fireworks, and I'm annoyed at a particular result. So, yeah, but we've got a lot to talk about, and I can see Mike already smiling, so I'm sure it'll be a good one.
You know what, Mike is the last person you want to speak to in these situations. But how are you?
Yeah, I could tell by the way we just went back and forth on Twitter, mate. It's because I'm not like, not that you guys are, but some of the reactions from the fans, I can't do it, mate. Yeah, I'm great, mate. Can't wait to talk about this game, mate. Couldn't be more excited.
Okay, well, speak for yourself, because if I'll just go then if you want to do it. I don't mind.
No, let's have it.
No, I'm joking. Here when we win, here when we lose, unlike some bums amongst our fan base that only pipe up on social media when things go wrong. But let's get into it then. We'll start with the team news like we always do. This one is pretty zoomed out, so let me try zoom in for you guys. Oh gosh, what have I done here? It's all going wrong. Here we go. So Ali, Gomez at left back, Virgil, Kanate, Trent, Szoboszlai, McAllister, Gravenberch, Diogo, Nunes, Salah, Elliot. The only one which I think was interesting was obviously Gomez at left back. What's your thoughts on that, mate?
Naively, I was pleased at it because I wanted it to happen, and then after the first half, I was immediately wanting it to revert back, and then when it reverted back to what it was, I immediately wanted it to revert back to what it also was before it reverted back again. So that's how the game went. Again, I mean, before today, I mean, I'm not saying like my mind's changed dramatically or anything. I know everyone can be a bit reactionary. I am definitely in that bracket at times. Don't get me wrong, but. I mean, I think the lineup was fine because we've got nothing to really say bad about the lineup because we've been playing really well. So the Gomez experiment didn't work today, but it's something that we probably would have, I was happy with it at the start. So I can't really say anything bad about it.
Yeah, same here. I wasn't mad at it at all. I think we all were quite happy to see Gomez start left back. It's something I've seen plenty of fans calling for. No issues with the midfield three. Again, something the fans have been very happy with. Front three, I think, on form with circumstances, it picked itself. There was no issues with the 11.
And then what happens? Because you say there's no issues with the 11, so therefore we should comfortably beat Luton Town. I don't care if it's away from home. I don't care if we play on a park. I don't care if it's at Anfield. There is no situation where we shouldn't be beating Luton Town. So, Elliot, we say the lineup was spot on. Why was it not able to get the result today?
Well, I think in hindsight, the lineup's not spot on. I think that's my point. So we're all quite happy with that lineup, but then immediately you get into that game, we're all thinking after the 15-minute Nunes playing Edson V's or whatever he was doing, we get past that bit and you think, hang on a minute, things have got to change. They've got to change because it was wrong. And I think it's one of them very rare days which we've seen it maybe a bit more frequently in the earlier parts of his reign. But I think Klopp got it wrong today. And I hate saying that because it never happens really, does it? But I think he did. And I think he mentioned something, I can't be paraphrasing, about the first half and how he's going to analyse that first half properly, I think, which says to me he knows it went wrong because it did. I mean, they dropped points against Luton. Obviously, it went wrong, but it went wrong in a bad way because it was so easy to see why. And I think it was just pure width. I think the amount of times we've seen in the second half, I'm jumping a little bit just for comparison, is when Tsimikas was on the pitch and Trent passes to him and it opens the game up so much. With Gomez didn't happen, and then he waits so long for that change to happen, and it's just like a bit too little too late. And then Tsimikas' quality overall was just dreadful as well, so it doesn't help either.
He's rubbish, and I hate to say it because I don't like saying the spot players that play for our club, but he's not good enough for this club. I'm sorry.
No, I'll I'll push back on that. Like you can Simicast. Listen. You're gonna make your point because I've read this point about a million times in the last 10 minutes, Ben. Like,
What?
yeah, don't get me wrong, he was awful when he came on today.
He's not
but,
good enough,
mate. You can't cut across me when I'm making a point. But let's try again on that one. So yeah, I know he wasn't good enough today. I don't argue that, but he had no one around him in terms of he received the ball. He didn't have a single option. So for a left back, when he's receiving the ball in the wide area, you need an option. He didn't have a single one. So don't get me wrong, he didn't play well, but I can turn around and say Simicast was rubbish. Salah was rubbish. Nunes was rubbish. Szoboszlai was rubbish. McAllister wasn't great. Trent was awful. Konate was poor. Van Dijk and Alisson are the only two that can hold their head up for me in that game. Right? Nunes was awful in front of the goal. Everyone's going to pick a player. So a lot of people have picked Nunes. A lot of people have picked Simicast. You can say what you want about Simicast. He played 10, 15 minutes. Before that, Gomez provided zero width. Gomez didn't have an awful game because it is what it is. He's centre-back playing. He's a right-footed centre-back playing left-back. Can't expect too much. But you turn around saying Simicast is rubbish after a 15-minute cameo.
We're talking about Simicast, though.
That's yeah, no, but Simicast played a 15-minute cameo.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about Simicast in general. I don't think he's good enough. And I think the fact that Joe Gomez started today shows that. If you're a backup left back, Andy Robertson's not starting because he's injured. You should be one of the first names on the sheet every game. These are your moments to take. And if Klopp's worried to start a backup left back, then there's a problem.
I think, sorry, Mike. I think the bigger problem with that is you just probably are both right. But I think the bigger problem for me is the contract, because I do agree with Ben. I think he's declined, to be honest, because I thought he looked great at the start of the near quadruple season, and then the delivery is just, he was like 4 times. I know it's a cameo, Mike, but I think it's just a bit of a consistent issue. I know he hasn't played so much because Robinson is obviously the first choice, and he's got a little bit of a chance now when he's already been drafted. I'm not going over the top with that, but the levels of performance should not be good enough. He was like 4 crosses back to back in that cameo today, and the delivery doesn't even like leave the floor properly or doesn't get past the first man. And I'm not having to go to him. I think everyone was awful. As you said, Van Dijk and Alisson were the only ones. That's a fact. Everyone.
But I agree he's declined. Like I agree he's declined, and I also agree that we should be looking at another left back. But at the end of the day, he is the only other option other than Gomez. I think to turn around and say that he's awful as well, I think is wrong, because on international duty he played blinders. So there's a reason he's not playing. So you can turn around.
It can be annoying. It can be annoying, can't it? That's why, because you doubt delivery against Ireland for Greece was quality, and then he comes and does quality, and you don't see it at all for us. So it was like he was needed to be on the pitch. I said it to half times, he needs to be on because it's not working. I don't know why he didn't come on. I know Klopp wouldn't want to drag anyone off at half time. That's fine. I wouldn't want to do that anyway. I wouldn't want to see that, because that means Bowman's had the shocker, which he didn't.
Elliot, at Anfield last week, Simicast was fine. He was good.
I know. But so that's what he needed to come on. He needed to come on, and then he gets the space, and it was just, he was poor. But everyone was poor, and I do think that is just, he has declined. And my biggest issue with it all is not going, he's awful, he's not good enough. Which, I mean, I partly agree with. But the bigger issue is the fact that he's been given a new contract, and I want to know why. You know what I mean? Because
I'm surprised with that one.
Yeah, that's why I think that's what the bigger issue. I know people want to look at one thing with the game, and that's what we'll focus on because we're reacting to the game. But the bigger picture is they've told him, and they think he's good enough to carry on for years to come, when realistically Liverpool probably should be looking for a younger left back who can be here for years and years to come.
Do you think it's just getting him a new contract so we can get more out of him when we sell him? Get a higher value?
I don't know because we don't really know whose decision or why. I think maybe Klopp just likes him as the backup, but then why not start him? There's a bit of an issue there, isn't there? Because why do it and then not start him? And then the issue is that he wasn't great, and there's been some consistency with not being as good as he maybe was. So there's a bit of an issue there, but it's harsh that we try and move on, but it's harsh to focus on him. But I think it was a standout.
No, of course,
was poor, but loads of people.
We'll move on from him for now, but I am coming back to him, believe me, because that defending from their counter-attack was not good enough. But we'll move on from him for now, because you're right. There is, the game. I feel like we thought we weren't going to win this game way before he came on. So we'll move on from him because, like you say, he was a substitute at the end of the day. Mike, let's talk about the midfield and we'll include Trent into this as well, because obviously he is playing there a lot in the minute, and there's that whole debate as to whether he should just be a right back or whatever. But talk to me about this midfield, mate, because we've been waxing lyrical over the changes that these midfielders, specifically Dominic Szoboszlai, have made, and Gravenberch as well. McAllister has still got a few question marks over what he's going to do long term. But the reality is, compared in the whole grand scheme of things, compared to last season, it's been chalk and cheese. So why did today feel more of like a midfield performance from last season, in your opinion?
I don't think the lads were expecting the physical battle. I think we started off first 15 minutes or so, we played between the lines really, really well. Like, I genuinely thought we played very well between the lines, but the midfielders weren't as involved as I was expecting. And then there was a switch. I don't know whether it was tactically by Luton or maybe it's just they grew into the game. None of our midfielders looked comfortable at all. Gravenberch was the best out of the three in the game.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was quite clear. I thought Szoboszlai had his worst game to the one he had at Wolves in the first half. First half of Wolves, he was awful. He was awful again. And the comparison I draw between those two games was he was pressed by two players at one moment, and it was physical. It wasn't pressed like energy. It was physically pressing them. It was getting close, getting tight, and he couldn't handle it. And it's the second game I've seen that happen. Now, he's 22, and the Prem is very different to the Bundesliga. It takes time to adapt. He's not going to be perfect in every game. But he was found out today, and so was McAllister, and so was Trent. McAllister and Trent got in each other's way. We had zero width. Like,
sorry, just jumping on that quickly. Would you not say it's not them being found out? It's more the system, because I've had question marks over this for a bit of while now, and I feel like today is giving me bigger question marks, to be honest, because they want to play in this way, and then they kind of got in each other's ways at times, and just didn't look like there was any sort of rhythm at all. And then Trent is leaving so much vacated space on the right where he can create, and we know he can do it, and then not really getting involved. He had a few cracking passes to Mikas, but apart from that, and the Nunes chance, but apart from that, it's poor, isn't it, really?
It is, yeah. But to be honest, even though he ended up on the left at times in the second half, in the first half, it was the most I've seen him play in the right-hand side, in the right channel for a while. And I'd argue it was the worst I've seen him play. So I don't know what that really tells me. I don't know what that tells me, like, at all. But, like, I seen him in the I don't know what that tells me. I really don't.
No.
But I've seen him in that position, almost in a natural right-back position at times more than I've seen him this season for large parts of the game. And I thought he was awful. I thought McAllister was awful. And when they were in that pivot together, there was absolutely zero width, because you had Gomez cutting in on his right. Szoboszlai wasn't out on the right-hand side, which is what we normally see. You'd normally see Szoboszlai
with that system, because remember last year it was Henderson, and we were all thinking he can't do it, but bless him, he's trying. Szoboszlai can, and he was like on top of Salah at times, and I'm just thinking,
it made no
why?
sense.
No,
Salah and Szoboszlai were occupying the same area. There was no one on. There was just no.
Then Elliot, I know I'm jumping again, but Elliot came on and he went wide. So why wasn't Szoboszlai originally doing that? Yeah.
So that tells me personally, I might be wrong. Maybe it was tactical, but it tells me that Szoboszlai just not only had a bad game on the side of it, but had a bad game tactically. He wasn't occupying the spaces he needed to, because Elliot came on in the exact same role. Well, we moved to a 4, Salah moved central, but so we were playing with more wider sort of, attacking on the sides there. But Elliot played a blinder when he came on, I thought, to be fair, considering the circumstances as well. I thought he played an absolute blinder. Yeah, genuinely.
3 assists.
Yeah, you know what I said before about Van Dijk and Alisson? I put Elliot in that as well.
Oh, yeah, of course.
100% I put Elliot in that. I thought he came on, made a wonderful cameo. And Diaz as well, obviously. But yeah, like, as it's obviously, everyone was getting in each other's way. People looked afraid to put a tackle in. McAllister tried his best. I wouldn't say he didn't try his best, but I think they did very well. Like, away from how poor we were, Luton did brilliantly well to suppress Trent, to suppress McAllister, to suppress Szoboszlai, and to suppress Salah. And I can't knock them on that. They were brilliant in that respect, but
they were up for it. It's their cup final, and we knew, Mike. Yeah. We knew from speaking with Phil. He was telling us that this is probably their biggest game ever in their stadium. And even their manager in his pre-match interview said that, with all due respect to all the other Premier League teams we've played against, this is the one. This is the big one. So if you're Liverpool Football Club and you've got, say, 8 or 9 world-class players in your 11, and you're going there to Luton Town, you can't go into the game, and I'm not saying they all thought this, but you can't go in there thinking that the 3 points is in the bag. You've got to expect a tough game. You've got to expect this to be like a cup final for them. And I just feel like I don't actually think it was the worst Liverpool performance A lot of people have been overanalyzing this, in my opinion, but the fact of the matter is, it was 0.9 to 3.5 xg. Football is a very simple game. There's no need to just start going on about systems and faults and inversions and all these other things. The fact of the matter, Elliot, is we had the chances to win this game comfortably today. Comfortably. Darwin Núñez, Diogo Jota, Cody Gakpo, they all had chances. Yet we didn't put them away. And that's why we've come away with 1 point. Correct me if I'm wrong, mate, but from what I saw my own two eyes, this wasn't a Liverpool performance to melt down about and think it's over and, we've gone back to last season. This was just simply Liverpool not taking their chances.
No, I wouldn't say it's all going back to last season. I think there was times where the football, the first 15 minutes I thought was really well. And, Núñez is going to get so much criticism, and I think it's perfectly fine. It's what I said after the Toulouse game. Toulouse 2, like it was all ha-ha when he missed that one against Toulouse. But then it's going to happen again. And look, we're all not happy about it, obviously. But I mean, I don't think there's need to go back to last season because the football in the first 15 minutes was actually quite nice, and he hits the bar, which could have been a lovely goal. I think it's a difficult chance, but it's one of them days where you've probably got to just kind of reassess where Liverpool probably are going to be. I mean, I think I've kind of got on board with the fact that I think Liverpool can go for the title in terms of the context of other teams, and especially the fact that Tottenham could possibly be doing it as well. That's why I think Liverpool can. However, I think realistically, this is the transitional season. They've changed the whole midfield. So you're going to have days where I thought this was bang on, by the way. I had 1-0 Luton all over. Like, I just had it. I was thinking, yeah. So I thought it was going to be one of them tough ones. But I think it's a young team, and it's maybe you can just put it down as it's one of them days. And the fact that it's a whole new midfield and, a new system, we can probably say as well that they need to learn better or they need to have another backup, which I think it seems the backup's 4-4-2. And, maybe go to that earlier, and Klopp maybe needs to assess some things that he's done as well. It's just one of them where everything kind of went a bit AWOL. So therefore, it just happened. So I don't think, as you said, Ben, it's something to go off on one about, because I think, as you said, the XG says a lot. And I mean, that can come down to some individual performances, but let's say at the end of the day, it's the team who makes the chances. So you can't criticize them on that because they did it. So I think it may just go down to being one of them days. But I think at times the performance of the whole team in segments was just so poor, hence the meltdown maybe, but hence the reaction. And because it's Luton. It's as simple as that, and Luton will know that themselves. That is why, and fair play to them for getting the point. I thought some of their plays were fantastic, but Liverpool should win the game, and that's why I think it just could be one of those days, and you get past it and go again next or on Thursday against Toulouse.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Let's get into the goals or lack of goals, shall we say? So when did the first? Obviously, they score the first goal, but did the Darwin Núñez chance, because we've got to speak on that, did that come before they scored?
Yeah.
Mike,
No, that game. Yeah, I mean, listen, his arguments whether he's offside or onside, he'd had many other chances in the game as well. He's got to bury it. It's as simple as that. There's arguments was Salah heading towards goal, heading it back to Núñez. I think he was heading it back to Núñez.
He's knocked it down 100%.
Yeah, he's knocked it down. And listen, there are many reasons we didn't win today. Núñez missing sitters is one of them. We all love him. He's great. He's like, I adore him, but he's got to score. It's just as simple as that. And, it gets brought up in the games where he scores 2 goals or, 1 or 2 goals. He'll also have 2 or 3 other chances where you go, well, it's a good thing he scored those other goals. Otherwise, we'd be circling back to this. This kind of felt like a Núñez performance from last season in a lot of different ways, especially that second half. First half, played with a lot of confidence first 15 minutes, but yeah, no, not for me. Elliot, what do you think?
I wouldn't say sitters, to be honest. I think sitter, which is horrific. I mean, what are you alluding to? The Trent pass and hitting the bar is the other one?
Yeah, I think he probably should have shown a little bit more composure.
I mean, I suppose so, but full speed over the top, in behind. I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I wouldn't say sitter, I'd say good chance.
Okay.
And then the first 15 minutes, I think you could argue the header could probably do better, but the couple of ones where he has a little go, but I don't think there's not too much wrong with that. Get a bit of confidence within the game. And I thought Liverpool take Núñez out of that and take the Núñez shots out of that. Liverpool looked like they were going to play well. As you said, the passes, into the midfielders' feet before getting into the box were really quite nice in the first few minutes, and then after the Nunes few shots and the nice little intricate bits, 20 minutes after the 20-minute mark, they kind of just lose that edge. And I don't know why. I think maybe Luton get past the first parts of, a bit of nervousness, bit of excitement, and they realise, right, we can actually do what we need to do. We've got to wave a couple of ones there, and then they're right into it instead of conceding in the first 10 minutes of going, oh, for God's sake. So, I mean, sitters is too far for me. I think the one he misses is horrific, and I'll allude to my point against Toulouse. It's absolutely shambolic, and I absolutely adore him. I think he's fantastic. I think he's great because he is. But it's mental. I mean, you can't. How can he score the ones he scores and misses the one he misses? I don't know. But whether there needs to be some strong individual train, I don't know how you can even train to have chances from 4 and 3 yards out and bury them. But he just needs to maybe concentrate more or just have an edge. But we thought he had that edge. But I always go back to the Haaland thing where he misses chances as well, and some of them are shitters, but not as consistent by any stretch as what Nunes is doing. Because even though Nunes has played well, there was even one against Union where he missed from about 5 yards out as well. And I'm not criticising him because I don't want to, because I think he's been fantastic and I still think he should be playing and he should be starting. But it's not good enough, and that will cost him for the end of the season if it's not fixed.
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree. There's no getting away from it. If you love Darwin Núñez, if he's not your cup of tea, whatever, there's no denying that he should be scoring these chances. And I don't know what it is. There's honestly no explanation for it. He'll score the tougher chances and he'll miss the easiest ones. So I'm not sure. I think he will improve. I honestly do. I don't think he'll be doing this when he's 26, 27. I honestly think he'll get him out of the way whilst he's still 24. He's still very young for a striker, by the way. So I think he's still developing, and he's nowhere near the end product. And as bad as today's miss was, as bad as the Toulouse miss was, I think it's important that people that aren't his biggest fans, and we all know who they're talking about when saying that, they're just going to come out and say, "Oh, I told you so." Well, you look at this season, the difference between Darwin Núñez compared to last season, it's an astronomical difference, and that's not saying that that's a justification for him missing today. It's not, but what it is saying is that Darwin Núñez is going to miss chances. He's also going to score chances. So, yes, today was bad, and because we didn't win the game, it was even worse. Like the Toulouse one, it was fine in the end because we won. Today, it feels a lot worse because we didn't win. And I just can't put my head on it. He's the most frustrating player I think I've ever seen, because like Mike said, we all love him. We all know how good he is. We know how good he can go on to be. Even Klopp was alluding to it, saying like when he is at the absolute peak, he's going to be a monster, and we all know that. I would just like to see him start putting these away in his sleep, to be honest, and I think it will come. But yeah, Darwin Núñez is a very strange one, and I don't think we'll ever know why he's missing these chances. All we can hope is that when he goes again, which I'm assuming will be Brentford next week, that he's forgotten about this and he picks up from where he left off before. So it's a strange one, and there's no explanation for it, and it's not good enough. I think that's the important thing we've got to emphasise. It's not good enough. And something else that wasn't good enough is Liverpool's defending from the Brentford goal, the Luton goal, because we obviously get a corner, we put the ball in, we appeal for handball. We've got about 5 players screaming handball, and not enough players focused on defending Mike. So, first of all, this is where it comes back to Tsimikas for me. I think he's got to make that challenge, and he's got to be strong. He's got to be bold. And then after that, I think Konate's got to do more. I think he's got to just wipe the player out, whether it takes a yellow or red card. He's got to stop that man, because as soon as he gets past Konate, Mike, it's then a 3-on-2. And I said this on the space, whether you're Luton Town, whether you're Man City, whether you're Real Madrid, a 3-on-2 situation, 9 times out of 10, you're going to score, or you're going to at least create a chance. So not good enough, was it?
No, listen, it wasn't good enough at all. I think the frustration I had personally was everyone was too busy appealing for a penalty at one end and not focused on getting back. That's how it kind of looked in the moment. I could be wrong. And like you said, Tsimikas should have done better. I think they've done very well on the counter-attack in terms of timing the passing. But yeah, listen, Tsimikas needs to defend it better. Alisson can't do anything about that. So, there's there's nothing he could do, really. It's a shame that it's a former United man, really, that puts it away at the other end, isn't it? But listen, it is what it is. It wasn't a good look at all for any of the lads. I think like you say, it's another not great ball in, and then they've just countered with pace. They've made it count. As I say, credit to Luton where credit's due. They made it count. But yeah, very frustrating. I don't know how Elliot felt, but for me, it was just kind of, I seen it coming. The moment they hit on the counter, I was like, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I seen a 1-0 win for Luton coming, so I'm pleased that Liverpool scraped the point, because I just thought I remember at the start of the season, I think people were alluding half or Super Sunday under the lights, one of them ones where it's typical Liverpool relegate promoted side. And it looked like it was going to be the recipe for that, and it was very close to being. The whole performance was kind of just leading up to one Luton chance, and I thought it might have been the one with Morris, which Alisson does really well with, which will get lost with the result. So you can have some credit for that at least. But the defending for that was poor, so it was kind of just leading to the inevitable. As you said, Tsimikas, he's got to bring him down. He's got to be stronger. He gets absolutely legged to the ground. How is mental to me. I think McAllister shows his lack of speed, and I'm not saying he can turn his improve. Don't get me wrong, but wow, he looked really slow running back. Whether he's tired, whether just fatigued, and we know he's not quick, or really quick at all, to be honest. But he looked slow, and he should just probably trap his man more than he does, because he lets him go. He hesitates to go to the ball at one point, and then he realises Chong is behind him, so he tries to catch up. And at that point, it's all gone wrong. As you said, Canate, I think, dropping for Matip. I said that a few weeks ago when Klopp was going to Matip over him. I was pleased with it. Matip is needed for games like that for me, because he's on so much better on the ball, and he doesn't wrestle players. Canate reminds me of Lovren, things like, if you remember the Watford 3-0, when Lovren just wrestled Deeney all game, and that's why Liverpool lost it. Canate tends to do that, and it's infuriating. He done it at one point and gets the foul. Should have been sent off against Everton for stupidity like that. On the ball, he's poor, and I'm not having a go, because I think he can go on to be one of the best defenders because of his just pure strength and speed. He needs to be better at his all-round game, and I think Matip deserves a chance because he is better, and Matip's been very good this season. So I think there's a few things there where you can not to overreact, but if Matip's on the ball in the amount of times Canate and Van Dijk had the ball, you're just thinking nothing's going to happen, because nothing did happen. Matip can go on a little run, and he can fire the balls in better than Canate. So I think, Brentford next week will probably be quite similar in terms of a low block. I think Matip deserves a chance. So, yeah. The goal is poor, obviously, but I think Canate he wasn't great today, and I think that performance has probably been coming for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Got Luke in the house, and he says, honestly, today hurt because we was genuinely dreadful, and that's the first time since last season we've genuinely looked awful in our play. They all look tired, and then Luke has actually become the first ever TAT Pod member on YouTube. So big up to you.
Let's go.
Thank you for your support, and we appreciate you a lot. Canate got bullied a lot, he has to say. And yeah, look, I'm gonna give my my take on the goal as well. I said this on the space straight after the game. I think we're too soft. I think we're too nice. I think we're too it's fine. We'll get back in. We'll regroup and we'll be okay. You don't see, and I hate comparing us to Man City because I hate them, but you don't see City defending counterattacks like that. I always bring this back to one player who would always get at least 2 suspensions a season just because of his tactical fouls, and that's Fernandinho. When City were winning title after title after title, he would just take a man out. And that's the difference. That can honestly be, and I know this is a drastic thing to say, that can be the difference between winning the league or not winning the league. Wiping someone out on a counter-attack. The margins are so small. We've got no time to dilly-dally getting back into position. You stop that counter-attack with Costa Tsimikas. If he's failed to get the ball, or the man, which he has done, then the next in line has to do it, or the next in line has to do it. But we've just let them just go through us. Ross Barkley as well, by the way. Ross Barkley, which is an absolute joke. And we're too kind. We're too soft. We need to start being mean. We need to start being more aggressive. We need to start being nasty. And I love the way we play. I'm not, saying that we need to change anything like that, but I just think sometimes in counterattacks and situations when, it's clear that if we don't work the player out, they're going to get a good chance. We just stand and do nothing. I think that's one thing we've always struggled with, to be fair. We've never been one for just being a bit dirty and more aggressive when defending. Everything's got to be too polished and everything's got to be perfect. So football's not perfect. I would have liked to have seen Canate just wipe the player out and get at least a yellow card there. So what? It's fine. You can see out the rest of the game without getting sent off, I'm sure. we just need to be more nasty. I think start making more tactical fouls.
I
It
don't
was an
think we can.
embarrassing goal.
Yeah,
Go on.
sorry, go on.
No, you go.
Listen, I don't think we can compare ourselves to a City at the moment, because I don't think we're title challengers. I think today was a reality check in the sense that, not in a massive way, not in a way where it's like doom and gloom, but this is a young side. This is a new side. This can't be compared, in my mind, to a title challenging side. This is compared to a side that is a season away from being title challengers. We're still 1 or 2 players off. We're still, even the great players we have are still lacking a little bit of experience. Like Szoboszlai with a year under his belt, Trent with a year under his belt in the new position, McAllister with a year at this level under his belt, Núñez getting this season under. I just feel like this is a learning season for us, where we're watching the step right now. So people talk about taking the next step. I feel like the season is us watching that step. And don't get me wrong, maybe we'll exceed expectation. Maybe we will be in the title challenge, but that is exceeding expectation for me personally. Now, I understand others feel different, and that's completely fine. But I think today we've seen that we're still lacking a little bit of that grit that you mentioned there, that a City side would have to get through this kind of game. It's an experience thing for some of these players. It is what it is. Some of the players have the experience. There's no excuse for them. But, some of these players are still learning that experience. We talk about the midfield being kind of bullied today. Gravenberch, 21, McAllister, 24, Szoboszlai, 22. They're getting that experience this season. So next season, that won't happen. That's my view anyway. I don't know.
No, I completely agree with that. I think obviously the point on making tactical fouls and stuff, I'd say any team should be doing that, though. I don't think you need to be a Man City to just wipe somebody out from a counter-attack. Just before in fact, we'll go on to our goal, because I think this is very important and lovely point to talk about. Probably the only good point from our perspective in the whole game, actually. Elliot Luis Diaz, he was in the squad. He's back at training this week. Klopp said it was down to him whether he was going to play or not. He comes on and he saves us from an absolute embarrassing result. And he's done all of that with everything that's going on. And he's got that beautiful message asking for the release of his dad on his shirt underneath. Lovely goal, wasn't it? Starts with Harvey Elliott putting the ball in, and there's a great header from Luis Diaz. And, if you had to pick any player to get the goal, it would have been him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's probably a better man than a lot of people, because I would not imagine so many people would not have the audacity to carry on playing in them circumstances. Like, fair play to him, and good on the club for letting him know that this is a safe space, that the pitch is safe for him. And so Klopp alluded to it before the game, saying where we've told him that training and playing is the safe space for him, and it's good that he feels that it is. And the fact that he came on and scores is perfect. Like, you wouldn't, as you said, wouldn't have picked anyone else. And Klopp said before the game, negotiations are ongoing, and we can only again pray basically that this gets really sorted out much quicker than it has taken. And we can also hope that the fact that Diaz has rescued the point can make him just feel a slightly bit better, and his family a bit better. On to the actual goal, as you said, Elliott's fantastic, and I thought, and we alluded to it, his substitution appearances are just like getting to the point where he should really start, but then he started one a few weeks ago and he wasn't great, was he? I can't remember what game it was exactly, but he wasn't. So it's a bit of a weird one. But it's a nice. It's what I remember when Diaz signed and doing research on him, because he's quite tall for a winger. He can be an aerial threat, and I'd like to see a bit more of that in the future, because I think it's a genuine thing that Liverpool could really, really use. And I mean, maybe it was a thing that you should have looked at last season when Núñez was doing stints on the wing. Don't think they should have ever go back to that. But then you've got Gakpo if you want to use him on the wing, not necessarily as a conventional winger, but inverted or inside back post crosses. Because it could work, and it has worked today. So why can't you build on that? Especially if Núñez going to be the striker as well. He can go to the back post. He was at the back post on a couple of occasions in the first half. And Jota, we know Jota's absolutely great with headers. And I know Liverpool, this has been like a consistent theme with crosses, especially Robertson and Trent bombing down the wings. But now you don't have that with Trent, and this is why I kind of just think, I'd like to see him just have that right space a little bit more than he does. I like him in the inverted, and I think it's fine. Lovely passes at times, but you've got so many attacking options in the air as well now. It doesn't have to be so precise, which is what the Diaz goal proved. They can, nice little play, get a ball in, and they have got so many threats in the box. So that's why I just think Trent maybe sometimes should be just more out wide. But I think it's a good example of that 4-4-2 really helping out Liverpool again. It done it against Wolves. And Elliott making a case maybe because we've said the past side was terrible. You don't want to go and drop players who especially played so well. But Elliott's got probably one of the strongest cases to be starting games, I'd say, especially in the midfield anyway.
Yeah, Mike, your take on the goal, mate. It was, like we said, it was just a lovely moment, wasn't it?
It was a great moment. I think, we put everything else aside in a moment like this. I was really happy to see it. I was really happy for him, to share the message and just have, 15 minutes away from everything that's burdening him and his family at the moment, And yeah, I think regardless of what the result was, it was just nice for him to get back on the pitch, for him to get a goal, all the better for it. And you can see how much it sort of meant to him and the players there and obviously the fans as well. The fact that it turned out to be a very important equaliser and potentially a very important point, all the better for us, of course. But yeah, I mean, what a ball by Elliott as well. Like you said, Elliott came on, he made an instant impact, he made an instant difference, but just I can't sort of shake off. I just feel like today was just it was a poor game all around. I can't really knock it. So it was a wonderful moment for Diaz. Saved the team from a lot of backlash that it definitely would have got, rightfully so. Still will get some, but nowhere near as much, thankfully, as a result of a very late very, very late equaliser.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it obviously doesn't take anything away from what we did badly just because we didn't lose. I think the conversations are exactly the same. But what I will say is now that is, I think I read, Elliot, that's 4 games against newly promoted sides that we've not won. So it's becoming a bit of a habit. What do you think the reason for that is? If it's just a low block thing, they all sort of play a similar way, which seems to sort of work against us?
It did work against Liverpool at the start of Klopp's era. So it's like the whole thing of Liverpool 2.0 is like a nice thing, but I think it's a real thing. It's like the start. And I think that is, last season, I don't think you can really say that too much because it was the end of Liverpool number one. So like you can join in like number 1 and number 2 with the low blocks. And that was a reoccurring issue at the start. So I'm not surprised. I think there's more creativity in this Liverpool side, especially with midfielders, to really deal with it. And again, you go back to Núñez. If he finishes the chances, we're not even discussing this. We're all happy as Shappy. We're probably thinking about how much of a laugh possibly Toulouse will be. Not to disrespect them, but we just beat them 4-5-1. So you know what I mean. It's one of them where the team probably, if they win that game, you're not really discussing low blocks and blah blah blah, how much they struggled, but because they did struggle because of chances missed. So there's various different things where you can say why they're struggling against the low block, but at the same time you can also say that they've created enough chances, so therefore they haven't really struggled, because that is the whole point for low block, was to restrict the chances. But he was actually 3.9, did you say, Ben? So it's a bit. It's you can argue one point, you can argue the other, but I think Liverpool just got to learn how to deal with that, and maybe not get stress, maybe a bit of a big point, but Trent having a shot from 40 yards out, stop that.
Ridiculous.
What are you doing? It happened against Everton with some players as well. What are you doing? The whole point is recycle and go again. Even if it goes back to Van Dijk and Konate and maybe there's not another option, shout at each other, listen to the manager if he's shouting to move, carry on moving. Do not think that you're going to score a goal. You're never going to score. He was nearly on the halfway. What's he doing? That was really frustrating, and it just kind of symbolised the whole performance for me. And that's when they're getting frustrated, but they've got to just be professional with that, because low blocks take time. Liverpool have had so many late winners under Klopp, but that's when they're patient. There was no patience today, and I think Mike said it before in terms of just experience, and this is why I said in the summer with the Europa League, do the full rebuild. And I think if Andre comes in January, that's an even bigger point of the fact they've done it fully, and you can get past this, which was always going to be a transitional season, but because Liverpool have played well and they're up there still, people are kind of jumping on a possible title charge. You don't know. And I think if you're going to reassess it after today, you should be reassessing big things. I think Liverpool get past without Salah. I know he was absolutely dreadful today, by the way. He was awful. If they get past AFCON, when he leaves and they're still there, I think there's a genuine conversation for Liverpool being up there. But today, as you said, Mike, was a reality check, but it doesn't need to be a big thing because the chances were created. I just think there was a few really bad moments from everyone, which all goes into one big bad moment for the team.
Yeah, and let's take a look at the table as it stands right now. And I guess this all comes down to where you thought Liverpool would be this season, and not one of us, and barely anyone I know said that Liverpool would win the title this season on the back of last year. A few people maybe did, but I think the majority of people were saying get back in the top four, but comfortably. Like, let's not wait until the last couple games. Let's secure it nice and early, and then 1 or 2 trophies along the side. So when you're looking at those expectations, Mike, and I know it's so easy to get sucked in a title race and the talk of a title charge, especially when you support a team like Liverpool. Like, we should be in those conversations every season. But when you do look at this table and you realise that we are still only 3 behind City, obviously Tottenham still play tomorrow. It's not the end of the world as to where we are after 11 games, is it?
No, it's not. I think when I look at the table, when I look at, you guys got tired of me talking about it, especially after a couple of wins in terms of how I view it all. I know, but I think, listen, Tottenham will drop points. Tottenham are brilliant. I do think Tottenham have been vastly underrated this season. I think they're doing brilliantly well. I think they'll continue to do well. They've got a good 13-man squad. But City is City. We're 3 points off them after 11 games. If you'd told us that at the start of the season, we would have took it. That's kind of how I view it. They're the bar. They're the bar we're trying to meet. Spurs, as I say respectfully, will drop points. I think Arsenal's result against Newcastle did us a favour, because if Arsenal had won as well, I would not feel as comfortable, I guess. But we're level on points with Arsenal. We're United are nowhere in sight. Chelsea are nowhere in sight. We're 4 points ahead of Newcastle. We're comfortable. I think we're in a comfortable position going into the run that we have now. We got City after Brentford. I think Brentford is a must 3 points. We have to get 3 points at Brentford. It's not an option. Is it away from home, Brentford, or are we at home?
No, it's Anfield.
It's an Anfield, right? No arguments. We have to get 3 points at Brentford. They're going to be a very difficult side. They've been brilliant at parts this season. And I do think we'll struggle with Mbeumo. But you look at those fixtures there. For me, you get 3 points at Brentford. You go get a point at City. You beat Fulham. You beat Sheffield United. Who's after that? So we're into December at that point, and that's when we're looking at that. We've got a lovely run there. You got Palace away, you got Liverpool come to you. Then that's the week
just before Christmas as well. There,
yeah. This week coming here, where you've got United, West Ham, Arsenal. That is a season-defining week. That's a season-defining week. You go get 3 wins in that week. If you get 3 wins, I might stand here and say we're in a title challenge. I told you, Christmas was when I'd make my argument. That's the week. That is the defining week. And then after that, you've got Newcastle not too long after as well. So if we can get to January 1st and we're 4 points off City, I'm with you. I'll be with you. But if we're anything more than 4 points, then no, we're not in the title race.
Yeah, Elliot, just on the back of what Mike said, I think he spoke absolute facts there. So from the start of the season, I can't remember what your expectation was for this year. But has yours changed? And what do you think Liverpool are on track to do this season?
My expectation was a transitional season because they anticipated last season to not be a transitional season, but they got forced into doing it because they were awful. So I expected this when you sign a whole new midfield, top 4, and challenge. Europa League is a must realistically because Liverpool are too good to be in the competition on paper, but they were too bad to not be in Champions League last season. So it's Liverpool got to go and win that for me. And the top 4 was what I said. With a transitional season, that's fine. But because they just look so good at times, and I also go back to the point, I know everyone says City is City, and I am not saying they're not, because they are inevitable and they are really annoying because they are so good. The squad is still small, though. We can't go past that point of the fact that their squad is small. At times, they've had 2 keepers on the bench. At times, they haven't been able to fill the bench. So if they get an injury or 2, I know De Bruyne is supposedly going back soon, but if his hamstring goes again at his age, City could have a couple of issues. Obviously, the hypothetical situations, and paired with the fact Liverpool played so well and the new midfielders look so vibrant, the attacking players have looked brilliant, and Van Dijk's looked like he's back to his best. is why maybe I thought Liverpool could be in a title challenge. But I think today, the result against Brighton, I think realistically, it says to everyone, let's just wait and see and effectively take it game by game, and especially with the context of other teams as well. I also, just on Tottenham, I think they've been brilliant. Maybe underrated with certain people, I guess, but I think no one can say how well they've done. I think the win against us probably makes people go, oh, it doesn't matter, but they do matter. And I think the fact that Tottenham are still where they are, and let's see what happens tomorrow, I think that makes me think more that Liverpool are in a title race as well, if that makes sense, because the fact Tottenham are capable of being there with City means that Liverpool are too, because they are as well, but because there's more teams involved, it feels like you can be a bit more confident and, as you said, Mike, comfortable, because there's other teams capable of competing with City, which is what this league needs.
Yes.
So I think realistically, I think January after January without Salah is a big point. I know you say get to the 1st of January and you will say, after the Newcastle, the biggest game after that was probably Burnley away when you're looking at it. But I think it's going to get to the point where it's going to have to just be take game by game, and then let's not overreact. Like, today was a really poor result, but 3 points off City. I just think maybe the Tottenham game has just rubbed everyone up the wrong way, hasn't it? Because it has. Because if you take that, the officials doing the jobs properly, Liverpool probably, are either first or second, and Tottenham people, are assessing Tottenham maybe fairly and saying not jumping ahead themselves with Tottenham, where they have done at times, and then sometimes they're underrating them. So I think that's why people are a bit more frustrated maybe with today and the whole season overall with the title race kind of perspective. But it's got to be game by game, and let's not overreact, because this Liverpool team can be really good. Imagine this Liverpool team like 5 or 6 years with how many young players there is now. So just let's see how it goes. Let's not get on the backs too much. And if players are consistently poor, then they have a right to be criticised. So there's let's all be calm, I think, is the most important thing with it.
Yeah. Being calm is not within the fan base's DNA, but
absolutely not. Absolutely not. One game.
That's a stupid thing to say, really.
One game we're winning it all. The next game.
Yeah, of course. That's how it's football fans, isn't it? That's
football in a nutshell.
Yeah, and look, my expectation hasn't really changed. I think, yes, we can be in a title race this season if we're good enough. Why not? I don't think I have full confidence and belief yet that we can actually go and win the title. My expectation at the start of the season was top 4 and 1 or 2 trophies, and I think that we are definitely on course to do that. We've got West Ham in a quarter final at home, which obviously it's sandwiched between some big games, so West Ham do have a good chance in that game if they go strong. But I think a quarter final under the lights at Anfield, I'd still back us. So we get through that. We're in the semi-final. Europa League, we're still heavy favourites for that. Obviously, we don't know who's going to drop into that. I still think no matter how much we want to be in the Champions League and how much our club loves the Champions League, I think the Europa League would be an amazing trophy for these guys to win.
Definitely.
You look at Szoboszlai, McAllister, some of the youngsters like Ben Doak and, people like that. All of these guys.
Nunes as well.
Trophy.
Be massive
Nunes,
for Nunes,
of course.
Well.
All of these guys just getting that experience, it would just only be a good thing. So I still think this season can be a very good one. Of course, I don't think this changes anything at all. I think all that this does change is it might be a bit of a reality check to the people that did think we can win the league. I think that's all it's going to be. And if you don't win a league title, it is what it is. This is, like you said, Elliot, this is the season of transition. This is the season where we've changed the whole midfield that's been here for 7 years. If you were to go and win the league title in that first season, then wow, you are some team. I don't know any other team that's had that much change and won a title straight away. So it is what it is. We're on track to doing what we're going to do, and I think we will be just fine. But guys, going to wrap it up there. Going to keep it at 50 minutes today. I don't think there's too much more to say. I think everything has been covered. We will be back after Toulouse on Thursday night or Friday. I've not decided what we're doing yet. I will let you guys know. But yeah, keep locked into the pods. Keep paying attention to what we're doing. We are going to be doing more things in the future. So smash that subscribe button, like the stream if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.